So I think I turned to writing because I was such an avid reader. So it kind of felt like after reading, a book a week pretty much. I read every night before I go to sleep. It helps put me to sleep actually. I just started creating my own stories in my head. And then when the opportunity came where I suddenly found that I had all this extra free time that I had never had before, because I was being forced to be off my feet for a while, that just kind of seemed like the natural progression for me to tell a story on paper instead of telling a story through choreography. I'd never tried glass blowing, so maybe if I would have been able to do that, that could have been the way I went. But I found that excuse me, writing was just fun to create stories in a different way than what I had been doing with my dance. So it's just kind of a different form of storytelling, I guess. For me.
So you're also a scientist, and do you feel like that played into or plays into your work at all? Maybe you could tell us what kind of science.
Yeah, so actually when I was living in Florida, I was working, I guess, as like a marine biologist, research scientist, excuse me, and I had to do a lot of technical writing, proposals, scientific manuscripts, magazine articles, kind of like industry articles. And so it was just very technical, and there was a certain way everything had to be written. So I found like when I got home at night, I needed a break from that analytical side of just my brain, but also the writing. And so it was kind of nice to switch into, I could create whatever world I wanted to create, and it didn't matter if I, didn't have enough replications or whatever to like actually publish that paper. So it was kind of nice to just have that creative flexibility with that, I guess. Excuse me. And now I'm out in Colorado, and I'm teaching high school at a boarding school, and I'm teaching science out here, and I'm still working with some of my colleagues in Florida on finishing up some manuscripts that we have. So now I'm kind of writing lesson plans and grading papers. But I've also found that I got myself together with some students who also enjoy writing, and we have our own little private critique group where it gives us all a chance to kind of do something other than school stuff too. So I still find that like I still have the science technical side that helps, I think, just that helps me know like how to construct a good sentence. But then I've got the freedom and the flexibility of the fiction writing to, create whatever name I want to create, or, to have my mermaids not actually be able to breathe underwater, and nobody can say I'm wrong because that's what I want it to be. So it's kind of nice to have that too.
So you're still mentoring young writers. Obviously, you were involved in starting up the Florida Writers Association youth program, and now that you've moved out to Colorado, you're still mentoring young writers, which is awesome. You have a mentor when you were starting out?
Not right away, I guess. I had a friend of mine who was also, she was working on her master's degree, worked at the same place I did. Well, I had just started my PhD there, and we would always go to movies together, and and I shared with her when I started writing these stories, and she's like, "Oh, can I read some of them?" So she kind of encouraged me with her enthusiasm for my short stories I was writing, and then I found the Palm City word readers. Like I was kind of starting to look online to see where could I find other writers nearby, and I ended up getting in touch with Leona, who immediately like pulled me into the group, and that's kind of where I started kind of learning how to critique, taking constructive feedback, giving constructive feedback, and kind of learning that. So I think as an institution, the Florida Writers Association actually was kind of a mentor for me, and I went to the conference. Like the first year I went there, I really learned a lot from the speakers. I was very new to this, new to the industry. Self-publishing was really starting to take off then, so I had a lot. I was doing a lot of research on that. So it wasn't quite the same way that I feel like I necessarily had with what I hope I'm offering to my students here. But I feel like group wise and peer critique wise, like that's kind of how Serena and I ended up getting to know each other and finding some other like-minded individuals that liked writing the same thing and kind of knew what I was capable of doing and would hold me accountable for that. So that part of that kind of, I still look at them as mentors, I guess, for me, because they know they'll keep me on track for that.
Absolutely. That exchange of ideas is really important for all of us. And also accountability. Like, I know for writing, it makes me want to write because you're expecting to read something at the end.
Because we have a meeting.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So you're a hybrid author. You self-published many times, and you've also published with a small press. What led you to that path of publishing as opposed to traditional publishing?
Sorry. I think
time you need to stop, let us know. I don't want to.
No, it's annoying and it just won't go away. Sorry.
No, thank you for doing this in spite of not feeling great.
So I think for my first YA series that I actually put out there was not the first book I wrote, excuse me, but I ran it through a couple writing workshops and then critique partners, and was kind of following like the Amanda Hawking story and the I'm blanking on the other guy's name that did, like, how they were kind of really looking at the self-publishing. And I remember I read a couple books that I didn't know were self-published and learned about that after the fact. And so I kind of started researching that. I figured, you know what, why not? And then kind of as surprisingly, I started getting good feedback on that and getting some bloggers and some, other bloggers that want to be authors or just bloggers that really enjoy reading, kind of reaching out to me and just, giving me compliments and then saying, when is the next one coming out? Like, I figured, well, I might as well just stay on this path for that. And then kind of as the years progressed, it's a lot of work to do everything on your own. I actually like doing the formatting. I like working with covers if I feel like I have the skills for some to do that. Some I don't. I know I need to pull other people in. But it's the marketing side of it that is just exhausting. And kind of just keeping your name out there and keeping up with what's going on. It's just really hard, and it's changing so fast all the time. Excuse me. I had a manuscript that I had. There was this new publisher, small press, coming out. I had heard the ladies' names kind of in the circle of all the Facebook groups and different critique groups. And so I ended up deciding to submit to them, and they ended up taking one of my manuscripts. One of my manuscripts, and they had 3 books that they released in their first year as a small press. So it was more like I didn't get in advance. But I had a better royalty share with them than what you would have for some of the big publishers. So I was like, well, hey, why not? Why don't I try this and see how it goes? And then kind of around the same time, I was approached by an agent who I had worked with on marketing things in the past, who was working for a really well-known agency and had a really great mentor. And she had read my self-published YA trilogy and asked if she could rep me for both trying to get some foreign rights for that and then potentially anything new that I would have. So right now I actually am working with an agent who has 2 brand new manuscripts of mine who hopefully she'll sell at some point in time. I'm still waiting to hear because it's such a much slower process than what self-publishing is. But I kind of want to try it out just to kind of make that comparison, kind of know where I want to go. There are a lot of groups out there now chatting about how like nobody wants to be traditionally published anymore. Like some of these authors that have had really great success have been traditionally published with some of the big presses for a long time, are pulling everything out and they're publishing on their own and doing financially a whole lot better that way. But I don't know if what they say is true, so I feel like it'd be nice to kind of have that mix and keep trying it. I'm okay doing it on my own, but maybe let's see what somebody else could maybe do for me too, if I ever get to that point. So, and then the small press ended up shutting down last year. So they only had my book for about a year, and then they shut down. And so now I've got that book back, and I'm trying to decide what to do with that. So, like, I think there's a risk there as well. And to be honest, I wasn't very satisfied. Like there was very little marketing, very little push. I don't think my sales were really that great. And like the kind of behind the scenes stuff wasn't that great. So I'm not totally turned off to traditional publishing. Options are out there hopefully right now, but I just kind of have to wait and see, I think.
Well, that's all really helpful information. I'm going to ask, does the group have, some of us know you, but any questions from the audience?
Get better soon.
Yeah, definitely. The part where I would normally ask you to read an excerpt from your work, but I think we'll spare you that since
Thank you.
your voice, yeah. Thank you so much, Amber. I really, really appreciate you being our guest author this month. And we look forward to seeing a lot more of your wonderful work. I always enjoy reading you. And good luck finishing out your school year. Those lucky kids that get to write with you. What's the next book that you have? You have the anthology with the young people there. Is that going to be like on Amazon and so forth, or
yeah, so I actually have a proof in hand, so we're reviewing our proof right now, which they are so excited to actually touch a book. These young ladies are amazing writers, and I just hope that like there are 2 seniors in the group and they're like, can we just like Skype in when we have these? So I really hope like to continue my mentoree and fellow author relationship with those 2 especially. So yeah, I'm hoping by early May that will be ready, and we're just going to put it on Amazon right now and try just go that route for a few months and kind of see, like, I'm not expecting miracles out of it, but I think it's just really cool that these girls they'll be published, and I wouldn't do this if I didn't think that it was worth publishing. Like the stories are, it's a collection of short stories and poems, and they're amazing. So and then what we're going to do is like we're donating any and all funds back to our school in the memory of a student that we lost here last year or over the summer, for a fund that helps with like diversity and stuff on campus. So they're really excited. And then I don't know what, I'm still waiting to hear from Rachel regarding those other manuscripts that you know about, Serena. So we'll see.
It all sounds wonderful. Where can people find you and your books online?
Sorry. They're all on Amazon. And then some of my YA books are also like Barnes and Nobles and Kobo and things like that. So they're pretty broadly distributed, both paperback and ebook.
And your website is?
ambergar.com.
Perfect. Well, thanks again, Amber. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Thanks for having me. All right. Bye.
It's under construction or something. On the right site.